There are car, and then there's the Mustang. It's one of those names that just sticks in your head. When you hear Mustang, you don't think about just a car. You think of loud engines, open roads, the feeling of freedom. Mustang has always been more than just a machine. Few vehicles have captured the essence of American automotive spirit quite like the Ford Mustang. Since its debut in the mid-1960s, the Mustang has become more than just a car. It's a symbol of freedom, performance, and innovation. Over the years, it has evolved, adapting to changing times while staying true to its roots. But it didn't start out as a legend. It had to earn that title. Over the years, the Mustang has gone through massive changes. Some bold, some smart, and some, well, a little questionable. But no matter what, it kept going. Today, we're looking back at the journey from its beginning in the 1960s up through the early 2000s. It all started in the early 60s. Back then, most cars were big, heavy, and kind of boring, but young people wanted something cooler, something sporty, fast, and fun to drive. Ford saw the opportunity, so in 1964, they introduced a brand new car called the Mustang. It wasn't like anything else on the road. It had a long, low hood, a short rear deck, and just the right mix of muscle and style. And the price, just $2,368, which made it super affordable. People loved it immediately. On the first day it went on sale, more than 22,000 Mustangs were sold. That's not a typo. And within 2 years, over 1 million of them were on the road. Ford had hit a home run. Part of the magic was the way you could customize it. Want a simple 6-cylinder for cruising? Done. Want a V8 to tear up the streets? No problem. You could choose colors, interiors, wheels, even the radio. It felt personal. This was the start of something new, a whole category of cars called pony cars, and the Mustang was leading the charge. As the Mustang exploded in popularity, other companies wanted in. Chevy brought out the Camaro. Dodge had the Challenger. The muscle car wars were on. Ford responded by giving the Mustang more power and a tougher look. In 1967, they made it a bit bigger. Why? To fit bigger engines. That year, you could get a 390 cubic inch V8, and it was fast. Then in 1969, Ford introduced the Mach 1. This thing looked like it meant business, with a shaker hood, stripes, and performance upgrades. It was built to go fast and look cool doing it, and it didn't stop there. The Boss 302 and Boss 429 also came out in '69. These were serious machines built for racing and raw speed. The Mustang wasn't just a cool car anymore. It was a muscle car icon. But with all the power came a price. The cars got heavier, and by 1970, the original light and quick feel started to fade a bit. Still, for fans of old-school muscle, these late 60s Mustangs are legends. Then came the early 70s, and things started to shift. In 1971, Ford made the Mustang even bigger again. The goal was to fit massive engines like the Ford 29 Super Cobra Jet. The car looked mean, wide, low, and heavy. And it was heavy, almost too heavy. Handling wasn't great. Gas mileage was bad. But hey, it still had that V8 roar. Problem was, the world was changing. Gas prices were going up. New emissions laws were kicking in. Insurance rates on fast cars were rising. By 1973, people just weren't buying big muscle cars like they used to. The Mustang was struggling. Ford knew it was time for a big change. So in 1974, Ford did something radical. They completely redesigned the Mustang. The new version was called the Mustang II, and it was smaller, lighter, and more fuel efficient. It was also built on the same platform as the Ford Pinto. Yeah, the Pinto. Hardcore fans weren't thrilled. The muscle was gone. It looked more like a compact car than a street beast. And while it was better on gas, it just didn't have the same soul. But here's the thing. The Mustang II actually sold really well. It came out right in the middle of a gas crisis, and it was exactly what people were looking for. Something affordable and efficient. In fact, it won Motor Trend's Car of the Year in 1974. It might not be the most loved Mustang today, but it kept the name alive when a lot of muscle cars just disappeared. Sometimes survival is the win. By the late 70s, Ford was ready to bring the Mustang back to life. In 1979, they launched the third generation, built on something called the Fox body platform. This version looked totally different. It was sharper, cleaner, and felt a lot more modern. And best of all, the V8 was back. The Mustang GT made a big return in the early 80s. It had a 5.0-liter engine, or 5.0 as fans called it, and it became a legend in its own right. It was quick, loud, and surprisingly affordable. Street racers, drag racers, and weekend warriors all loved it, and it was super easy to modify, which made it even more popular. Then came the 1993 SVT Cobra, a factory-built performance Mustang with more horsepower, better handling, and serious upgrades. It was a sign of what was coming next. The Mustang had its swagger back. In 1994, Ford gave the Mustang a full redesign. This was the fourth generation, and it brought back a bit of that classic Mustang style, but with a smoother, more modern look. The interior was nicer, the body was more sculpted, and under the hood, the V8 was still going strong. At first, it kept the old 5.0-liter engine, but by 1996, Ford introduced a newer 4.6-liter V8, more efficient, more refined, and still fun. Over the next few years, Ford released some special editions that fans still talk about. There was the Bullet Mustang in 2001, inspired by the movie car from Steve McQueen's famous chase scene. Then the Mach 1 in 2003, which brought back some of the muscle car magic from the 60s. But the real star of this era? The 2003 to 2004 SVT Cobra. Nicknamed the Terminator, this thing was a beast. It had a supercharged 4.6-liter V8 making 390 horsepower, and it could keep up with cars twice its price. By the time 2004 rolled around, the Mustang was once again a serious performance car, and fans were ready for the next big leap. From its explosive debut in 1964 to its rebirth in the 2000s, the Mustang has been through it all: fame, decline, reinvention, and redemption. It's a car that refused to die, always changing, always adapting, but never forgetting where it came from. By 2005, the Mustang had already lived through 4 decades of ups and downs, but Ford had something special planned: a return to its roots. They called it the 5th generation, but fans just called it a comeback. The new Mustang looked like it came straight out of the 1960s. It had that classic long hood, short deck look, round headlights, bold grille, retro taillights. Everything about it screamed old school muscle, but with modern comfort and safety. And under the hood, Ford gave it real power again. The base V6 was decent, but the real excitement came with the GT. Packing a 4.6-liter V8 and that throaty growl Mustang fans love. Sales shot up. People who grew up with the Mustang in the 60s loved the nostalgia, and a whole new generation fell in love with the look and sound. Then came the special editions. In 2007, Ford teamed up with Shelby, yes, the legendary Carroll Shelby, to build the Shelby GT 500. This thing had a supercharged 5.4-liter V8 with 500 horsepower. It was loud, aggressive, and fast. Mustang was back in the headlines, just like the good old days. Ford didn't stop there. In 2010, they gave the Mustang a big refresh. The body got sleeker, the interior felt more premium, and the whole car just looked more refined, but still tough. Then in 2011, something huge happened: a brand new engine lineup. The base V6 was no longer boring. It made over 300 horsepower. That's more than some older V8s.
And the new 5.0-liter V8.
Yes, the return of the 5.0 brought serious firepower to the GT. It made 412 horsepower and revved beautifully. Ford also brought back the Boss 302 in 2012, a track-focused beast that handled as well as it accelerated. It wasn't just fast in a straight line. This one could carve corners too. By 2013 and 2014, the GT 500 was even crazier, now making 662 horsepower. That's supercar territory. The Mustang wasn't just back, it was leading the pack again. For decades, the Mustang was mostly an American thing. But in 2015, Ford said, "Let's take this global." The sixth-generation Mustang was a complete redesign, inside and out. It kept the classic proportions, but everything else was updated. It had independent rear suspension for the first time ever, which meant better handling and a smoother ride. Ford also gave buyers more choices. Alongside the 5.0 V8 and the base V6, there was now a 2.3-liter EcoBoost turbocharged four-cylinder. It was efficient, light, and surprisingly quick. And for the first time ever, the Mustang was sold officially in Europe, Asia, and other global markets. People around the world finally got a taste of what American muscle felt like, and they loved it. The Mustang became the best-selling sports car in the world. Pretty cool for a car that almost died back in the 70s. By 2018, the Mustang was sharper than ever. The design was cleaner, meaner, and more modern. The 5.0 V8 got a power bump, the EcoBoost got smarter, and the tech inside the car, from digital gauges to drive modes, made the Mustang feel like it belonged in the future. Then came something fans had been begging for: the return of the Mach 1 in 2020. It was built as the ultimate track-ready version of the Mustang GT, kind of a greatest hits package of performance parts from past models, like the GT350 and GT500. Speaking of which, let's talk about the 2020 Shelby GT500. This monster had a supercharged 5.2-liter V8 making 760 horsepower. It was the most powerful production Mustang ever built. It could hit 60 miles per hour in about 3.3 seconds. And it wasn't just fast. It could handle, brake, and grip like a true performance machine. This was a Mustang that could take on Ferraris and Lamborghinis and hold its own. Not bad for a car you could still drive to the grocery store. And then things got interesting. In 2021, Ford made a move that shocked a lot of people. They announced a new electric SUV
and called it the Mustang Mach-E.
Wait, a Mustang SUV electric? Yeah, it was a bold choice. Some fans were upset. The Mustang name was sacred, they said. Why use it on an SUV? But here's the thing. The Mach-E wasn't just some soft crossover. It was sleek, fast, and high-tech. The GT version could go 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And it still had that Mustang look and feel, just in a new package. It wasn't meant to replace the traditional Mustang. It was meant to expand the brand. And honestly, it worked. The Mach-E sold well and brought a whole new group of drivers into the Mustang world. The Mustang was evolving again, just like it always has. In 2024, Ford introduced the 7th-generation Mustang. And they did something a lot of people didn't expect. They kept it gasoline-powered. While the rest of the industry was going electric, Ford doubled down on V8 power, at least for now. The new Mustang kept the classic shape but gave it a sharper, more aggressive look. The interior went full digital, with big screens and modern tech everywhere. There were a few trim levels, but one stood out: the Dark Horse. This was a brand new performance model, sitting above the GT. It had a 500 horsepower version of the 5.0 Coyote V8, track-tuned suspension, upgraded brakes, and even a manual transmission option. It was raw, focused, and thrilling. Everything Mustang fans had been waiting for. And while there's no doubt an all-electric Mustang coupe will come someday, for now, Ford is giving us one last blast of old-school fun. It's a love letter to speed, a tribute to everything the Mustang has always stood for. So here we are, 60 years after that first Mustang rolled off the line. It started as a simple idea, a sporty, affordable car that made driving fun again. And over the years, it became a legend, not just because of how fast it could go, but because of how it made people feel. The Mustang has changed a lot. It's been big, small, fast, slow, loud, quiet, gas-powered, and electric. But one thing has never changed. It's always been a Mustang. And no matter what the future looks like, whether it's all electric or still roaring with a V8, you can bet the Mustang will still be around, still turning heads and still making drivers smile. And as long as there are roads to conquer, the Mustang story isn't done. It's just getting started. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to like and subscribe for more.